November the 14th, 2023. As there's information coming in this morning from Israel that's different from a lot of the other articles you see around the world. As far as The Guardian, that's a good, it's a good site, guys, to go to. It's independent, and you get a lot of good information. I noticed when I was there earlier, I had time to sit down and look at it, that 200,000 more Palestinians are being moved from north and central Gaza, it looks like, down to southern Gaza. I don't know if the overall plan, we've talked about this before, is to remove everyone and then not let anyone back in, or move them out. As sad as that is, because right now the people can get very little food or water. But to move them out and then seal all the Hamas tunnels, I don't know what that is going to entail, if that's what it's about at all. Wars are about money, and they use religious ideology to divide the people. And they use political ideology too, but religion has always been a major part in wars. Rome has always had an army from one place or the other. But what's happening now is, again, we're seeing the continued bombing in Gaza, the movement of people, the loss of life. But here we're seeing that they're getting attacked from the north now. Because of their continued bombardment, they had been warned by Hezbollah, that's in northern border of Israel. That's where they're at, Syria. And you're going to, more than likely, you're going to have a lot of problems coming out of Jordan now. That would be to the east of Israel, on the border there. You know where it's at. But they got their butts handed to them this morning, and it's saying vertical escalation, and they're talking about with RPO and Shimel and Kornet EM thermobaric missiles, the Hezbollah forces hit multiple IDF targets. The Signal Intel Alent, guys, that's their fence security. Cameras, probably motion sensors, I don't know what all it is, but that got took down. It says that Signal Intel network was disrupted, and it's a great concern in the U.S., which, to me, guys, that says nothing. What is it? What is the U.S. concerned about? Escalation, or not getting their stake and their hands in the pie once the smoke clears in the Gaza area? Don't know. But there was loss of life. There's a lot of videos here, guys, and we talked about, was it Zechariah 12 and 14? Zechariah 12 possibly being the first battle, like we're seeing now, a world battle central to Israel. But let's read this, and I'll just show you how things have changed. Now, Hezbollah has been a pain in the butt, especially this time for Israel, because they've had more advanced weaponry from Russia and Iran. Now, let me say this before we go into the article. I said we're dealing with divisions among everyone, families even, nations, about politics and religion, those divisions. So let's not let a report of a video like this throw you into that closed mind thought pattern that the elite want you to take. They want to be able to unzip your head, fill it with their nonsense and lies, zip it back up, and you believe it, okay? And then you fight their side of the battle. Really, none of us here are fighting that battle as far as being in the Middle East. But the animosity has spread worldwide. All of the areas. Right now in Israel, guys, there's a major march. I think it's a 4-day march of the Israeli citizens begging and marching against Benjamin Netanyahu to bring back the hostages. Only 4, as of today, have been returned to Israel. And so that's been kind of the tie-up in a lot of ways about a ceasefire. And they're saying they don't want to have a ceasefire, even though they, as far as I know, have continued to allow that 4-hour corridor for trucks to get in and people to get out, supplies like that. It's not a very wide corridor from what I understand. A couple of days ago, they had around 600 trucks come in since October 7th when this began. On October 6th, they were getting 600 trucks a day. So up until, I think maybe it was yesterday I heard this, that they've had 1 day's worth of supplies now in, what are we, a month and a week, 5 weeks into this. This is 14th. And it's devastating when you see the pictures. I don't even like showing them, and I don't really enjoy reporting this anymore because it will wear anyone down, guys. The constant, you're researching, you're seeing the people that are hurt on both sides, the pain, the agony, the destruction, that it will wear on you. And what happens, and maybe it's part of the plan, or at least the elite or the people that run the show understand human psychology enough to know that's how you get people numb to a situation like this. You push it on them really heavy. Maybe, if you think about it, that's why some social media sites have allowed this news to go forward, when a lot of times it would have been something you wouldn't want to talk about, censored. But if it's an agenda that they really want to push that has a mass psychological effect on the populace, both in division and the numbing effect, then more than likely that's when they're going to let it flow very widely everywhere, and probably put a lot of input into the information. But let's go back to the article. It says Hezbollah escalated its attack against Israeli targets qualitatively and quantitatively. In other words, quality of the weapons, quantitatively the amount, causing great concern in the U.S. from the attacks. There are several dead and wounded in the ranks of the IDF. Within 48 hours, Hezbollah forces launched multiple attacks against Israeli targets in the areas of Al-Malakiyah, Barkat Risha, Daviv, Yatif Kadesh, and Ramat Naftala. According to information and videos, Hezbollah forces hit IDF positions and forces with Russian-made anti-tank systems called the Kornet or Konkurs. There's also with Iranian ATGMs called the Lavia and Tuthan. There's a reverse-engineered Chinese rockets. And they named some other, the Falo 2 high explosive rockets, and they also had multiple rocket launchers involved. But it says their fears that Hezbollah has acquired the EM version of the Kornet, which doubles the range to 8 to 10 kilometers, as the video shows a 1PN3 thermal targeting system. So when you're dealing with thermals, you've seen it on the drones, especially in the Ukrainian conflict, guys. The day or night, you can't hide. If that one drone sees you, lights you up, then here comes the ones that are following that light. It says, additionally, in another video, and there's videos on this link I'm going to give you, Hezbollah forces have been equipped with the 9K-32 man-pads, which is like a shoulder-launched anti-tank missile, if I'm not mistaken, RPA Shemel portable thermobaric missiles, and Chinese W-85 machine guns. And now, guys, thermobaric, most of you understand what that is, but if you don't, there's a couple of different ways, from what I understand, that you can achieve a thermobaric explosion. 1 seconds or milliseconds before as the missile's hitting, before it explodes, it releases either gas or a powder. And what that does, it's forced into every crack and crevice, into every tunnel, in your eyes, everything, in your lungs. And then the explosion of the rocket ignites all of that. Not only does it burn a lot of things, it vacates the air. You can't breathe at all. You can collapse your lungs, if I'm not mistaken. So these are game-changing weapons. It's no longer the handmade rockets that we saw Hamas use for a long time. In a third attack, Hezbollah attacked Israeli targets with Iranian kamikaze drones called the Qatif-1 and the Babel-2T and the Qasef-2K. I think we've seen some of these in the conflict again with Russia and Ukraine, because Iranian and Russian forces have been coexisting pretty well. What particularly worries Americans and Israelis is not only the qualitative and the quantity upgrading of the Hezbollah's attacks, but also the fact that it is systematically destroying electronic warfare, interception and signet intel, like we talked about, surveillance systems along the border with Lebanon, in an effort to shut down the eyes of the IDF. Again, this is not Hamas. This is not really Hezbollah. We're dealing with a proxy war right now between Israel and most of the rest of the world. Now, we know that we have our aircraft carriers there. I think Biden has launched every aircraft carrier the U.S. has, like 12 or 14. And there's not, I don't know what's guarding the home front, but it's kind of been like that for the last few years, hasn't it, guys? Everything being moved away to protect the U.S. But you got the U.S. is helping. You've got France and Germany that are helping. Not sure, maybe a couple more. But I'm afraid it's going to be like an Ete Brute moment for Israel, because these other players, they're in it to see what section of the pie they can get, whether it's just making millions or billions off of weapon sales, or they want to actually come into the oil and gas fields that are just offshore, like the Leviathan and the areas around the Cyprus area there in the Mediterranean. Not sure what the total plan is for this, but I think we're getting to the point to where Israel's going to be in big trouble, guys, and that tells you how far along in biblical prophecy we are. Now, the devil will use the Bible as his playbook also. He probably knows it better than anyone except our Father in heaven and Christ. He's been there, and most of it's been written because of him, right? But that's who's running the overall plan. But I think it's really important to realize where we're at and to go back to kind of the middle of the video here for a second and talk about this division and this numbing of information. What is all of that about? And it affects you. You've seen the conflict in the news. You may have seen it in your cities, or even closer to home than that. But that is the battle we need to fight against. Now, it seems, according to the article again, that the Americans and Israelis are worried about that, but their main worry is this shutdown of the signal intelligence surveillance systems along the border. They're having to use their portable cameras now. So that is a big part of it, and that can be done both physically or with a cyber attack, right? And it's not the same old battlefield that we've seen before. Things are definitely changing, and it looks like we're moving very quickly into biblical prophecy. And the other reason is, look what the leaders of the nations are doing to their own citizens. We talked about that in a video last night, didn't we, about the 15-minute cities and the starvation and the FEMA camps, remember? Well, because of those two, this right here and those other factors, the Lord is going to have to step in, or no one will be saved. We're getting close, my friends, but keep an eye on this. We will definitely update it. Again, I have to fight the numbness of reporting about this. So we're not really seeing in this video much of that. I'm just trying to give you information. But if you scan down at the bottom, you're going to start getting the videos of the Hezbollah attacks. And two reasons. They'll also take down your channel. But there's no need. You can come here and click on this and go, most of it's Twitter, which is now X, and see, I'll just kind of read some of it. It says that Hezbollah carried out an attack on the IDF soldiers in the Tuz near the Biranet military site on the Lebanese border. The attack was carried out with multiple common Russian-made Ru-9Ms, the Kornik E, and Iran-made Dalavia missiles. Also, Hezbollah carried out a rocket attack on the soldiers in the Barkat Risha site, also on the Lebanese border. The group seemingly used an improvised 24-tube multiple rocket launcher with 107 millimeter made in China high explosive rockets. Continues, it says Hezbollah destroyed Israeli equipment at the Al-Malakiya site on the Lebanese border. That could have something to do maybe with the signets. The attack was carried out with a two-fan missile, which is a reverse engineered from a BGM-71 TOW, an Iranian rocket. So it's pretty much full attack now. And Israel cannot say that it has not been warned, because every day has been negotiations back and forth between all of these people, with NATO, with Syria, Turkey, Egypt, and they're all calling for a ceasefire or temporary humanitarian corridor that's open wide enough to do some good. That's not happening, and so this is. As we read this, again, this is warnews247.gr. Most of the time it will translate itself, but you may have to get Google Translator involved. But the Israeli Defense Minister, Yoav Gallant, said a full-scale war is already underway on the country's northern border. That's what I've been talking about. Now both sides have pushed this into what we're seeing now. I don't know if the Israelis would have called a ceasefire, 3 or 4 day ceasefire, to allow open corridors, or if that would have helped or not, because it looks like the Middle East has had it. Regardless of what happens biblically, I'm looking at the psychological things that in both sides and what they would be thinking, in my opinion. Both sides are just tired of the other one and want to wipe the other one out. It's like the end of the Hatfield-McCoy situation. The war just kept escalating between these two families until almost everyone was dead. It looks like that's what's going to happen here, but it's maybe time, if you really want to understand this, dive deep into your Hebrew translations of Zechariah. I use them. As a matter of fact, there's free software on our website at bpearthwatch.com. If you go there, scroll down on the right, you'll see a blue box that says eSword. It's the electronic sword of the Lord is what it's called, I think. It's free. Download it. You'll have all the translations of both Hebrew and Greek and some Aramaic in there, different Bible versions and all of that, and automatic searches, one of the best search engines you're going to find. But I highly recommend it. And when you can read a verse, say, pull up the King James, which I do, and then with one button at the top, it will start putting numbers on top of each word. And that number, you click on or hover over the number, and it will give you the definition in the original language of those words. So that's a great way to look as deep as you can into this situation for yourself, if that's what you feel like you want to do. I definitely pay attention to it. And when you're reading the Bible, I think it brings a peace to you. I know some of the words in it have been manipulated over the years by the scribes and the different churches that tried to get involved and destroy the Christian religion, and then fill the holes of that destruction with their doctrine, very much like Constantine did. But guys, we're watching this. It's time for everyone to use their heads, prepare for what's coming. Also, let me say this, on our website at bpearthwatch.com, what Tina did yesterday, the CDs have been put down at $9.99. We know money's tight. It's a holiday season, and it seems a fair price. Our prices are a little higher because we're unlike a large company that orders thousands of them, where you get them for pennies on the dollar. It's a little more expensive when you just do a few hundred at a time and then restock that as you need to. But I'll ask Tina to get that up on our website. You'll go there and click, and you'll see also you'll have the finished art of the CD cover there, and there's a link to where you can listen to the full CD, not in MP3 or MP4 like you have to on YouTube, but in full wave, digitally mastered for free. Can't beat that. And we're working on setting up, like we had a couple of years ago, where you can download individual songs. May do that too. You may not like the whole CD, but I can actually put this one on just in my digital files, because I don't have a hard copy disc yet, and listen to the whole thing, not move. It's just, I'm not bragging on myself. I think it's a gift from God, being able to play and enjoy music, especially the way it makes me feel. But anyway, guys, we're watching it. And by the way, again, all of the proceeds of that goes to the Husky Art Fund. We got our hands full, but we got ourselves into it, and just like in the art, we got troubling times coming. But what happened? Noah had faith in our Father. Everyone out there has their own individual arcs in one way or the other. So you just keep it afloat and keep your faith up. We're watching it, guys. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.